Webster, come save me from this dangerous snake. Come get it. Man, you were just acting like you wanted to play. I am busy. I'm a working mom. Hi, I'm Nicole and welcome to episode 43 of the Nicole Stitches podcast. I am a left-handed crocheter, knitter, and general crafter coming to you from Northern Virginia where I work and live with my fiance and our cat, Webster. You can keep up with me on Instagram at NicoleSPDesigns, on Ravelry as she writes things, and in my shop where I make and sell handmade project bags, notions pouches, and other fiber accessories, as well as original crochet pattern designs. There is a Ravelry group for the podcast, and you can go there to find a Get to Know Us thread where you can introduce yourself, a Q&A thread where you can ask me questions that I will answer in future Q&A videos. You can find the monthly pattern giveaway there where you can enter to win a pattern of your choice. And that is also where you can find the chatter and finished objects threads for the NSP Comfy Crochet Cal, which is a crochet along that I am running for this year. And I think that's all the admin out of the way. So if you are a new viewer, thank you for choosing to give my little podcast and my channel a chance. If you're a return viewer, thanks for coming back. On the topic of the Comfy Crochet Cal, I meant to ask this last week and then I forgot, but I wanted to kind of take a survey and see if we are happy with just having, what? What's up, Webster? No, that's my foot. What do you want? You want to play? You feeling squirrely? You want to play? Come here. Webster, come here. Look, I have a snake. Webster, come save me from this dangerous snake. Come get it. Man, you were just acting like you wanted to play. Anyway, so I wanted to see if we are okay with having the final deadline be December 31st, 2019. I originally talked about having two separate deadlines, one of them being Memorial Day weekend and one of them being December 31st. Not sure how many people are ready to be finished as of Memorial Day weekend. I know that many people are working on temperature blankets. Oh my goodness, I cannot speak. Many people are working on temperature blankets, which kind of requires you to work for the entire year, so wouldn't be able to enter a finished objects drawing in May. But then again, I know we have at least one finished object, and I will most likely be done by then. Not that I'm going to enter my own crochet along prize pool, but so I wanted to see what we felt about having the finished objects deadline be December 31st. And then just having, I do want to still have a drawing on Memorial Day weekend just because I did say that that would be a deadline and we do have a finished object. So that maybe I would do a mini drawing on Memorial Day weekend from maybe the chatter thread, and then a bigger drawing at the end of the year from the finished objects thread, and probably also the chatter thread again then as well. But let me know what you think. If you would like, for the sake of fairness, if you would like to have a full drawing on Memorial Day weekend and still have that considered the first deadline, let me know and we can do that. I am just trying to mess with Webster right now. There he is. I want to take a poll from the participating community since you guys are the reason that we can even have the crochet along at all. So let me know in the comments here. And I'll see what everyone says and make a decision from there. And for the rest of the video, if you see me messing around with this cord, it is an old broken pair of headphones that Webster really likes. He enjoys hunting snakes in the apartment. And he is feeling a little bit predatory right now. He's feeling his natural hunting instinct take over. So in order to get peacefully through the video, I'm going to be going out when I'm done with this, and he's going to be to his own devices for the evening. So to try and make sure that he gets his daily hunting in, I've busted out a snake and I'm trying to multitask here. So I'm sorry if that's distracting. I'll try to keep it to a minimum, but you got to do what you got to do. So anyway, hello, welcome to episode, ooh, what does that sound? Yeah? Welcome to episode 43. I'm just going to get right started. I have no knitting for you this week at all. I did last week resume my wedding shawl, but I have since unresumed it. Basically, I've been really focusing on my crochet blanket, and then I had to take a couple days off from that for my hand, and so I was doing some needlepoint, and that's basically what I've been doing this week. So no knitting to speak of. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. I have a new segment that I want to add to the podcast, and that involves knitting. So my first update that I'll share with you is on my side-by-side blanket, which is my original crochet pattern design. And I will be releasing it soon-ish. Let me find the front of my work here because that is the side that matters. Oh, I'm sitting on my yarn. That's good. Okay, then I pulled out some stitches. What? Don't judge me. Sometimes it happens. So here is the side-by-side blanket. Let me find my progress keeper. There you go. That's where we left off last week, and that is the progress that I have made. So here we are. It's getting pretty decently long. It is not quite acceptable blanket length yet, but it is nice and cozy. I keep it on my lap when I'm working on it. And it is long enough to do that, so that's a good sign. We're getting there. I am probably at least somewhere between 2/3 and 3/4 of the way done. I now have Webster's laser, and I'm just trying to distract him with it while I record. It's gonna be a wild episode, y'all. But yes, that is my progress on the side-by-side blanket, and I do have just some updates on it. So this is a design that I have come up with. It is named the Side-by-Side Blanket after the song Side by Side from the Sondheim Musical Company, which is my favorite Sondheim musical. I really love the works of Stephen Sondheim. You will probably, if you're not a musical person, you've probably heard of Into the Woods. There was a movie adaptation a couple years ago that Disney did with Meryl Streep and Emily Blunt and James Corden. A bunch of people. So that is his Sweeney Todd, which that movie came out many years ago at this point. That's a Sondheim musical, but as a theater person, he is my favorite composer of musicals, and his work means a great deal to me, and Company is pretty much my all-time favorite of all of his works. A wedding gift for my friend who is getting married in May, and the name popped into my head while I was working on it. I name all my patterns after songs from musicals, and so it has stuck. And that's why I chose this name. That whole backstory out of the way. I will be releasing this pattern for sale soon-ish. This week I have invested a lot of time into writing out the pattern and just getting it ready. So that involved writing out the written instructions and also developing charts, which is semi-new to me. I have played around with making charts before, but I've never actually included one in a pattern previously, and I have decided to do it this time. So basically, the blanket is a group of 3 different charts, and they're just, you follow them in a certain order to get through the blanket. So some of the charts are repeated in some sections, and that's just how you get through. So I knew that I was going to want to chart these 3 different sections so that because I know that sometimes for me, it is helpful to look at the written instructions and then look at a chart to figure out what I'm doing. Some people prefer just written instructions. Some people prefer mostly charts. Some people are a mix. So I wanted to provide charts just because there's a lot of language in the pattern. It's not what I would call difficult. It looks more complicated than it actually is. I mean, you've got some cabling over here with a braid, post stitches, and then you've got this section, which is the easiest section to nail down. Then you've got this, which is the longest chart. This is the hardest part of the pattern. The instructions are very detailed, so it might seem a little daunting, but honestly, look at this. It doesn't look that difficult, and it's not. It's just it's many rows, basically. But, so I've been developing the charts for this pattern all week long, and I mentioned before that I wanted to provide charts for both right-handed and left-handed crocheters, because nobody ever does. Crochet charts are always written assuming that the crocheter is right-handed, and there are those of us who are not. And we're still out here trying to crochet, and it makes it difficult for us to look at a chart and try to remember that we need to basically flip it in our minds and follow a mirror image if we're trying to use that chart. So I wanted to ease that burden off of crocheters trying to follow a chart in my patterns. And as it turns out, I actually only had to develop 2 versions of one chart. So this section from here to here is on both ends of the blanket. So it's over here and it's on the other end. So this section I had to do 2 versions for. There's a left-handed version and a right-handed version. They are both going into the pattern. The other sections, which would be this stitch and then this, they are only ever in the middle of the blanket. So we got this, and then more of that, and then this, more of that, and then we're at the end. Because they're only ever in the middle, it doesn't really matter for the purposes of trying to follow the chart. A left-handed person or a right-handed person should be able to follow the chart from whichever direction they need to follow it from, because right-handed crocheters are going to read it from the right to the left because that's the direction they work in. Left-handed crocheters will be reading it from the left to the right. And for these other 2 charts that are only ever inside the body of the blanket, it doesn't matter. So there's just going to be one universal chart that's in there that everyone can read, and it's great. So I did develop left-handed and right-handed versions of chart A so that everyone can see what they need to be doing and they're not distracted trying to flip stitches or flip rows in their mind or remember what they need to be doing. And the reason that it was important to do that, besides the obvious, like showing you where the starting chains are and row numbering, is that this chart involves this braided cable. And based on what direction you're coming from, the braid is going to be strung together in a different way. Because to create this cable, you're working behind and in front of other stitches. You're kind of working stitches so that they overlap. And the overlap is just going to be reversed based on if you're working from the left or from the right. I hope that all made sense. So that means there will be 4 charts included in the pattern. Chart A lefty, chart A righty, chart B, and chart C. And of course there will be a legend, and I am also, so you can see what the stitch symbols mean if you are not one to frequently work with charts. And I've also done some color coding. Because there are stitches that overlap, that can be really hard to see on a chart, which is something I know from personal experience. So I have used colors to indicate what stitches are on top if you're looking at some that overlap each other. So I'm trying to do as much as I can to help everybody be able to access the pattern equally. You're going to get written instructions, you're going to get your charts and some color coding, and I'm just trying to make it a fun process. I want it to be something that a adventurous beginner can use to learn. So if you have never done post stitches before or cabling, I want this to be the blanket that you can use to learn that stuff in a fun way, in an easy way, like dipping your toe in, because you're only going to be doing those posts here and here. And it's simple. It's much simpler than it looks. So, so that's what I've been doing. I'm working on the pattern. I'm putting the charts together, and it's actually really fun to make the charts. I'm using a charting program, so it's fun to move the little symbols around and make them appear and kind of manipulate them so they're rotated right and they're the right color, and it's super fun. So I'm also hoping at some point to be able to make charts for my existing patterns. I have 3 patterns that I've released right now, and I would like someday to be able to make charts for those and release them just as a Ravelry update for the PDFs. Aside from making the charts, I'm just having fun putting the pattern together. It's something that I enjoy. It's something I meant to do a lot more of last year, and it just fell off my plate. And I'm really excited about getting back into that this year. I definitely have several other pattern ideas that I want to release, and basically as soon as I finish this blanket, I'm going to get started working on my next design, which is not a blanket. It's going to be something else. So I hope that people are also as excited as I am about me getting more into releasing crochet designs this year. I want to at least release these 3, and then we'll see how things pan out. I want to get back into knitting things and, you know, all that good stuff. I have the shop, I have a wedding to plan, etc. But it's definitely something that I'm excited about doing more of this year and trying to stay on it instead of last year when it kind of fell off the designing wagon for a bit. And that's my crochet update. I will stop going on about it now. And I will move on to the next thing. My next update is one you have not seen in a little bit if you have been with me. It's been a few weeks, I think maybe 3 weeks since I showed you this one, but let me just get it out of the frame here. This is my current cross stitch project covered in loose threads. That's very tidy and coordinated. This is Mr. and Mrs. by Stitchrovia. It is a cross stitch pattern. This is a gift for my same friend I'm making that blanket for. And this is what I've gotten done. Last time I showed you, I think I was up to here, so I had all that done, and last night I just finished this frame. I've been having a little bit of hand pain this week right in here from crochet. I think it's just because I tend to clench my muscles tighter and tighter as I'm working, and it's an unconscious thing. It's just what I do. And so in order to preserve the health of my fingers and hands so that I can keep crocheting and knitting for the rest of my life, I needed to take a couple days break. So I've worked on that, and I have also worked on a new start this week, which is almost finished, which is for my friend. I'm doing a little swap with her, putting a package together. I showed you a couple weeks ago one embroider that I finished for her. I decided to start another one. It looks like this. This is another pattern that is from DMC, which is the embroidery floss company. They have tons of free patterns that you can get online. You can download them. This is another one of theirs, and it is a heart with some blossoms growing out of it. It just made me think of her. So I'm stitching it up. I just have the leaves on these little areas to finish, and then it will be done. And eventually I will remember to send this package to her. So I think that's everything I have for you in terms of making. There is a new segment that I wanted to add to the podcast. I've wanted to add this for a little while, and I just have not kind of gotten my ducks in a row to feature it, but I did a little poll on Instagram this week to see if people were interested, and everyone said yes, so I decided to add it. And this segment actually I'm going to do 2 segments eventually, but this week I only have my act together for one of them. So you'll see the other one soon, but not today. So today I wanted to share a new segment that I am calling New in My Queue, which is just where I want to share patterns that I've added to my radar recently. I am in a constant state of adding stuff to my Ravelry, whether it is putting things on my queue, my wish list, in my cart, having no willpower and actually buying them. It's just every week there's new stuff that's coming on my radar, or stuff that's been around but I'm just noticing it. And I just think that this could be a great way to share that stuff with you guys. I like learning about these patterns when I find them on Instagram. I find a lot of patterns through other podcasts. I feel like every time I watch the Chelsea Pearls podcast, I need to watch it with Ravelry open because they're always showing off stuff that I need to make. I feel like every episode I have at least one new thing added to my cart, if not like 7. So I wanted to share with you myself. And so I'm not going to necessarily tell you like everything that I found in a given week, but maybe like between 3 and 7 patterns. And I'm just going to try and show you a picture, tell you what it is and who it's by, and then I'll put a link in the show notes. So this week I have chosen 5 patterns to start, and I am just going to go down. I made myself a little post-it note. I'm just going to go down my list. So the first one that I found is a pattern called Frankly My Dear by Maxim. I think it's Sear. I'm sorry if I mispronounce it. I will, appropriately credit the pattern on screen. This is a masculine pullover design, and it is a colorwork pattern, but for my purposes, I would not do the color work. I really like the shape of this pullover with the kind of, I don't know what kind of collar you would call this. It's not really a mock turtleneck because it's split, but it's almost like a polo with a popped collar, but it's also not. So whatever the term is for this type of collar, I like it. And one of my goals for the year is to knit Adam a sweater. I have not made him one yet. I have another sweater on my radar that I had wanted to make him, which is the Esquire pullover, which I can't remember who designed that, but it's a pattern that I bought from KnitPicks, and I've shared it previously in one of my first 2019 episodes, so you can refer back to that if you are interested. But I like this sweater shape, so I would probably just make it for Adam in a solid color, but I really like this pattern, and now it is in my queue. So that's the first one. The next one is another one that I am not sure how to pronounce it, but I do not want to disrespect the proper pronunciation, so I'm going to do my best. It is a Tumanako pullover by Aroha Knits, and this is absolutely beautiful. I think it's just sweet. And this, I kind of want to try and make in time to wear on our honeymoon. So that would be in October, so I have time. I need to check and see what my yarn resources are. I don't remember what weight of yarn this pattern is in. I think it might be DK or worsted. I need to see what I have and if it's feasible, but it's definitely something that I am excited about making sooner rather than later. I have really loved a lot of what I've seen from Aroha Knits. I have several of her patterns. I believe I purchased this one when it came out, and I have several of her others. The Patiki cowl, and there is a beautiful, I'm not sure if it is a pointed cowl or a shawl, I can't remember offhand, that she recently released that is kind of a coral color, and it's got all this beautiful stitch work on it. It kind of looks like brioche, but I don't think it is. I'm not doing a good job of explaining it, but it's beautiful, and if you go look at her Instagram, you'll see what I'm talking about. The next one is the Van Gogh shawl by Kathy Lewis, which is a free Ravelry download, and I actually think I know what yarn I want to use for this. I have 2 skeins of DK, it's a DK pattern from Neighborhood Fiber Co. I purchased them last year, about a year ago, and they are gorgeous, and I've been saving them because I haven't known exactly what I want to use them for yet, but I think that they would look awesome in this pattern, so I think that's what I'm going to do. Not sure when I'll start it, but I'm excited about that. And next is the Nadia sweater by Handmade Closet. I have seen this popping up on my Instagram for a long time, but it hasn't been released yet, and it finally came out. I love this sweater. I think it's so fun, and I love the texture, and it's gorgeous, and I know that if I have it in my closet, I will probably wear it all the time. So that's another one that I'm excited for, and I might try and make it for the honeymoon. We'll see. Only so much time, you know? And the last one I wanted to share is the Wanderer pullover by Tiff Nealon. She's a more recent discovery for me, again, in the last couple of months, and I really love her work. She does a lot of work with the herringbone stitch, which just makes this really cool effect, and she's got some mitt patterns out that I really love. She's got this pullover out. She's got a couple, at least one other sweater design, I think, coming that I'm really interested in, and it looks like she uses kind of heavier weight yarns, which is awesome if you want a fast project. So I'm excited about that as well. And those are the first 5 patterns that I'm sharing with you in my new in my queue segment. So I hope that was informative for you. Maybe you discovered a pattern that you want to make as well. Maybe you found a designer who's new to you. And I want to try and share this, if not every week, then like every other week, some regularity, some frequency, just because I do have a lot of patterns that I discover all the time, and I want to share them with you. So that is my segment for this week. I don't really have a shop update for you. I'm working on my new shop, mostly my new website, because I am leaving Etsy for my own domain. That should be really soon. I'm just tweaking it. I need to update some things, small things like tags and just some other kind of behind the scenes stuff in how my shop will work. And I need to rephotograph some things. I'm working through updating all of my listing photos for all of my existing inventory. And then I am making new things. I work for my shop most days of the week, but I'm kind of saving that stuff, and I plan to release it when the new shop opens. So I think that's going to be kind of maybe something exciting that I do, like a little collection that I launch when I launch the new site. So I'll keep you updated for that. I'm really excited about it. And I think that's everything I have for you. Oh, a reading update. It's not much because I got sick last week, and so I was just really tired and I was falling asleep early rather than staying up reading. So I'm still reading Member of the Family by Diane Lake, which is about Diane's time as the youngest member of the Manson family and then her life since then. I am close to halfway through at this point, and still chugging along. Again, I don't have remarkable progress on it because I've just been falling asleep early. I've been sick and sleepy. So And as a personal update, we took our engagement photos this weekend. That was really fun. I was knitting my Tenya. I'm sure you know, you've been watching me for a while. I finished my Tenya in time for our engagement photos, and I'm really excited. We haven't gotten them back yet. I am so anxiously watching my inbox to see when they come through because I'm really excited to get them from the photographer. We had a really fun time taking them. We went to a couple of parks in Baltimore with my photographer and just had a good time. And then after that, I got to have lunch, dinner is the meal I was thinking of, dinner with my friend Wendy, who I had not seen in a really long time, and she just came back to Maryland, and I was so excited to get to see her because I love her very much. We went to college together. She was a first year when I was a senior. We went to college together and we did a lot of theater together, and I love her a lot. And it was really good to see her. So we had dinner, she and Adam and I, and then we got insomnia cookies, which are a gift from the heavens. And that was our weekend. So that's all. When we do get the engagement photos back, I'm sure I'll share a couple, because, you know, what else are they for if not sharing? So that was, I think that is now officially everything. So thank you so much for watching. If you were new, I hope you enjoyed it. If you were a return viewer, thanks for coming back. There are distracting children running around outside and a dog. So anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you had a good time. Comment down below, let me know what you think about pretty much anything I talked about Cal deadlines, about the pattern coming out, crochet charts, new patterns that you've discovered this week, whatever you want to talk to me about. And if you want to be notified every time I post a new video, you can subscribe. And I think that's everything. So I hope you have a good week, get lots of crafting done, and I'll see you next time. Bye!